From the OUTV Broadcast Center in Los Angeles, California, this is Brief News Brief, a brief look at today's trending news topics. Proudly combating the thought police since 2016, here's your host, James Heaney.
I'm James Heaney, and this is your Brief News Briefing. Over the weekend, there was a horrific attack on the Jewish community in Pennsylvania, which resulted in the deadliest attack of people of Jewish faith on American soil in all of American history. And while families are grieving and burying their loved ones, they've asked President Trump to please not come visit the state at this time. Despite these requests, Donald Trump is coming to town. Oh yeah, yeah. Donald Trump is coming to town today. The visit is the same day of the first funerals for those killed at the Tree of Life Synagogue. The city's Democratic mayor, Bill Peduto, urged the president not to come while friends and family were burying their loved ones. Trump said that he wants to go to Pittsburgh to pay respect to the police officers and the injured victims that are in the hospital right now. But the mayor, along with other public officials, have publicly urged the president and other national figures to avoid visiting until after the funerals. The funerals are already taking place now. Just wait a few more days, and they're citing public safety. When you have people like Donald Trump or anybody, any president traveling, it shuts down roads, they need extra security. It certainly isn't helpful for people trying to grieve. The deadly attacks followed last week's bombs that were sent across the country to prominent Democrats and left-wing activists that at one point in time Trump had been repeatedly attacking when he was on his campaign trail in his speeches. Now there's a tension in the country that is so high as we're just 1 week out from the next election, the potentially most important midterm election of our lifetimes. Now Pittsburgh is not interested in being a stump on the president's campaign trail. Born in the USA, born in the USA, oh yeah, yeah. If you were born in the USA, you are, well, if you're born in America, you are an American. Tale as old as time. Ask the boss, he knows. But in the days leading up to the midterm elections, Donald Trump has made it clear. He wants to change that. President Trump is vowing to sign an executive order that would seek to end the right to U.S. citizenship for children born in the United States to non-citizens. Most legal experts are calling this a non-starter, meaning it pretty much is just never going to happen. This is wildly impossible. Not impossible, but it's a non-starter. That's the best way of saying it. He would have to actually pass a constitutional amendment to make that not just pass it with an executive order. That would be a constitutional amendment. Lindsey Graham has got Trump's back, though, and he said this morning that he intends to take this legislation to Congress, to the floor. But again, it's just rhetoric. This is a non-starter. It's just a campaign rallying cry to get his base out to vote. Are there more people in this country that hate the others in this world? Or are we a people who will ask to give me your tired, give me your poor, give me your huddled masses yearning to breathe free? Is it the Statue of Liberty or the Get Out statue of Trump? Trump said, "We're the only country in the world where a person comes in and has a baby, and the baby is essentially a citizen of the United States for 85 years with all those benefits. It's ridiculous, ridiculous, and it has to end." Screw the babies is what it sounds like he's saying. Is that the closing argument for the president before the midterm elections? Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, which I'm sure that's an embarrassing pronunciation, so please look up how to pronounce it. I have actually, believe it or not. I just can't stick the landing. On Tuesday, he said that his chief prosecutor has asked his Saudi counterpart to reveal who ordered the killing of the journalist Jamal Khashoggi inside the Saudi Consulate in Istanbul. The Saudi leadership is suspected of sending a 15-man hit squad to carry out the killing. Erdogan insists, "We cannot leave this issue unsolved. We need to solve it now." Khashoggi's family and friends are pushing for answers. "We want everyone involved, from the top to the bottom, to face justice." Hatice Cengiz, which is another probably terrible pronunciation, but that's Khashoggi's fiance. She said those things in an emotional interview broadcast by the BBC on Monday. She had waited outside the Istanbul Saudi Consulate on October 2nd and raised an alarm when Khashoggi didn't emerge, and she refused to leave until the early hours of the next morning. We didn't say our goodbyes. That's tragic and sad. A fiancé. Well, Khashoggi was a prominent Saudi journalist and a Washington Post contributor who lived in the United States. He was last seen in a Grady surveillance video on October 2nd entering Istanbul's Saudi Consulate to retrieve paperwork for his upcoming marriage. The Turkish officials say that he was detained, tortured, and dismembered, all while his fiancée waited outside. What a depressing news day. I'm sorry, but let's just wrap this shitty news up with a final story. It just came out that the population of the planet's vertebrates has dropped an average of 60% since the 1970s. The most striking decline in vertebrates population was in the tropics in South and Central America, with an 89% loss. The Living Planet Index tracked the population of mammals, birds, fish, reptiles, and amphibians around the world between 1970 and 2014. 2014 was the latest year of which the data was available. My guess is it didn't all of a sudden get way better. Do you think that's what it would have been? I don't know. Examples of wildlife populations that have dropped include the hedgehog, the gray partridge, the African gray parrot, and almost 6 billion tons of fish and invertebrates have been taken from the ocean. Contributing factors include destabilized climate, depleted oceans and rivers, degraded land, and stripped rainforests. The report highlights how humans have negatively affected the general health of the planet. One extreme example was the world's seabirds, with around 90% estimated to have plastic in their stomachs today. The rate of extinction on Earth is 100 to 1,000 times higher than it would have been without the pressure from the human beings killing the planet.